League of Legends lore is long, so today let's cut straight to the juicy stuff. There's gods, demons, monsters, all kinds of weirdos, but hiding quietly behind all of it is one dude who's just watching everything unfold. He is casually manipulating wars and betraying anyone dumb enough to trust him and patiently waiting for his moment. That dude is Vladimir, Runeterra's immortal blood-horny mage. But what's this guy's actual plan? Is he secretly plotting something massive, or is he just bored out of his mind? Could Vladimir actually be the final boss of Runeterra? Grab your popcorn, relax, and let's spill some blood on League's most mysterious villain. Vladimir was once the Prince of Camavor, the same place Viego is from. However, dude at a young age was given away as a hostage to a Darkin as bargain to save the kingdom from being destroyed. And there was a deal that when Vlad is ready to become king, then he can come back to the kingdom. Vlad kinda trusted this fake promise from his dad, but after some time, Vlad finds out that his dad has more babies with more baby mamas, so there are now more heirs to the throne, meaning the promise to bring him back won't really happen. This shit triggered Vladimir hard, and I mean fair enough. Dude's own family dropped him for their own safety. Vlad is now with the Darkin, and he thought, damn, I'm about to die. However, our Darkin was twisted and offered him a crazy deal. Dude told Vlad that he can stay alive as long as he leads the army that will fight Camavor, his home kingdom. Vlad agreed to this and literally destroyed all of Camavor and presented his father's head to the Darkin to show his loyalty. The Darkin guy kinda loved this, so became Vladimir's master and taught him hemomancy, which translates to blood-horny magic. Vlad was hella good at this shit too. I mean, already we know that Vlad has daddy issues and he's kinda twisted. Fast forward to the end of the Darkin Wars, a brutal conflict sparked when the Shuriman Ascended fell into corruption. Vladimir, cunning as ever, realized the wars were ending and the Darkin were losing and wanted to betray his master. But why would Vladimir betray the Darkin who gave him power? Vladimir knew firsthand the cost of taking losses in life. His entire youth spent as a captive taught him one brutal lesson, that real power meant freedom from control. The Darkin, powerful yet arrogant, treated him as nothing more than a little toy. Vladimir's betrayal was not only strategic but deeply personal. He refused to remain anyone's servant again. And I get it, like who wants to be someone's bitch? He sensed an opportunity and killed his Darkin master. Then he absorbed his immense powers. Now Vladimir was practically immortal and unimaginably powerful, but even he knew better than to flaunt his own strength openly. So he kind of vanished and quietly studied forbidden magic at the Blessed Isles. Oh, and if you don't know what the Darkin Wars are, I'm gonna pause the video here and explain it. If you know this part, you can skip it. Runeterra is the planet where all of these nations exist, and thousands of years ago there was a nation called Shurima. They were a very powerful nation and had a very strong army of what they would call ascended warriors. Basically, they were very capable and were kind of like gods. They had an emperor known as Azir. In Shurima there was a place called Ekatia. The Shuriman Empire annexed Ekatia. The Ekatians hated this and wanted their own freedom. They knew they were not strong enough to fight back the ascended warriors. However, during their most recent fight against the Shurimans, the Ekatians found a purple void rift near them. They did not truly understand the void, but they get in contact with the void and use the monsters within the void to help them fight against the Shurimans. This actually worked. The void monsters were able to fight off the Shurimans. However, the void monsters did not give an ass about Ekatia and started to take over the nation of Ekatia too. So much so that current day Ekatia is a wasteland. So at this point there is a big war going on between the void and the Shurimans are getting slapped. Let's also talk about the Emperor of Shurima, Azir. He has a best friend called Zereth who betrayed him and then leads Azir to be put into an eternal slumber. This is really important as the ascended warriors are struggling to fight back the void monsters, and at the same time their emperor who's meant to guide them in this battle is nowhere to be seen. This caused something called the Void War, a horrible war between the ascended of Shurima and the void. It does end up with the Shurimans eventually being able to seal the void, and pay attention to me saying seal the void as the void is just too strong to beat. However, the aftermath of the Void War was serious as the empire of Shurima was in crumbles and their emperor was nowhere to be seen. So some of the ascended warriors began to have no purpose and fell into deep corruption. Some even got into blood magic, and this then led the ascended warriors to doing evil ass stuff and wage wars with each other, and in summary, a lot of innocent people were dying. The people of Runeterra started labeling any ex-ascended warrior who turned evil as a Darkin, and the Darkin Wars are when all these Darkins start fighting with each other. Let's now skip some time to the reign of the Iron Revenant. This is the part of history where the Iron Revenant, aka Mordekaiser, was slapping everyone around. Anyways, during this era, Vladimir had heard of a pale sorceress who had intentions to overthrow the Iron Revenant. She actually visited him, and that was when she told him that she had a plan to defeat him. One, he also wants power and to remove Mord, and two, he knew the pale sorceress was hella strong and acknowledged her as his equal. I guess he's also interested in what she knows and is capable of. Vlad and LeBlanc together are able to fight Mordekaiser Mordekaiser at the Immortal Bastion, which is the base of Mordekaiser, and then they are able to seal him away. I want to highlight the fact that they could only seal him away because Mord was just too strong to beat in a raw 1v1, and side note, we find out Mord lets himself get beaten out of boredom and is right now planning on returning to the mortal world cause, well, why not? Oh, and now is when LeBlanc and Vladimir team up to permanently form a group called the Black Rose. Alright guys, this is where you will get juicy ass lore about Runeterra. Get your popcorn and subscribe to this channel. Vladimir is now vibing and studying more magic until he hears news of a person called General Callista who visited the Blessed Isles to find a cure for Viego's wife called Isolde, who was poisoned. Viego is actually the nephew of Vlad and current king of Camavor. Although Vladimir hated his dad, he doesn't hate Viego, and he would send letters to Viego to offer him his blood magic to keep Isolde alive. The donkey Viego did not pay attention to the letters Vlad would send, so this would inevitably cause Viego's wife to die. And in case you do not know, Isolde dying causes a fat event known as the Ruination. Once again, I will pause the Vlad script and explain the Ruination. If you know this, you can skip this part. Viego is the current king of Camavor. Dude was a mid-king, greedy and shit, but kept the country in control. However, one day dude simps for a girl called Isolde. Viego does some king privileges and marries her. This also makes him neglect the kingdom and in turn pisses off some of the peoples of the nation. As a result, some assassins attempt to kill Viego. They fail miserably and end up poisoning Isolde instead. Viego loses his shit and is panicking left, right and center. Dude has two generals under him, Callista and Hecarim. He sends Callista to go find a cure for his wife and uses Hecarim to silence anyone in the kingdom who causes him an issue. I mean, both do their job well. Hecarim keeps the kingdom under control and Callista eventually returns after going to the Blessed Isles and finding out there is a cure for Isolde. However, Isolde has died before Callista could get back, so Viego is pissed off. Viego is obviously mourning and even imprisons Callista for being slow. Then Viego is like, ah shit, maybe we can go to the Blessed Isle and bring Isolde back to life. He then goes there. The people of the Blessed Isle are like, bro, leave you weirdo. And he's like, no, show me the sacred waters. The people are like, nah, we good. He then kills everyone and finds his way there anyway. Once he gets there, he brings Isolde back to life, but as she resurrects, she grabs his sword and stabs him. What in the plot twist is this? Isolde's reasoning is like, bro, let me die in peace. And side note, this is where we find out that Viego is actually an abusive husband. And then Viego dies, but basically underneath these sacred waters was an unstable world rune, and this causes the rune to become even more unstable, and boom, the Ruination is called. And yeah, don't worry, I'll explain the runes in a bit. The rest of the Ruination is irrelevant to the script, but what you need to know is now the people of Runeterra are aware of the world runes, and this is what causes the Rune Wars. The Rune Wars were wars caused by greedy tribes that were able to acquire unstable world runes to wage wars against each other. It was hella crazy damage to like everyone, so much so even Vladimir went into hiding because dude is not that powerful to fight the runes. Eventually the rune wars stop as someone called Rise is able to store them away safely, but Vlad and the Black Rose use this as an opportunity to form a new world order. This new nation would be called Noxus. The tribes that fought each other also understood it's brain dead to fight each other and we should now team up with each other as one nation. And okay, like genuinely, after Noxus is formed, our boy Vlad is so boring. Dude does F all for most of it. And I can give you a short history of Noxus. Like, for example, there was once a man named Darkwill who is the Emperor of Noxus. And yeah, the Black Rose is still around, but they work in shadows and control everything in the background. Darkwill gets exposed that he's not a good Emperor for Noxus and greedy. Dude also betrayed the Black Rose. LeBlanc created a plan to manipulate Darkwill in fighting a war in Ionia. Noxus loses that war. A man named Jericho Swain finds this out and overthrows Darkwill and becomes the next Emperor himself. And genuinely, this whole war has happened. A new Emperor has come, blah blah, and Vladimir does absolutely nothing. Dude is too passive and patient. It's boring. All that strength for nothing. If you want more detailed lore on Noxus, it's in the description. Vladimir does have a cult called the Crimson Cult who he teaches blood magic, who are horny for blood, and him. There is one story of Vlad where he leads an army of mages to fight against Demacia, but this happened so long ago that it's now a legend. And he does lose the fight as Gallia awakens for the first time, and in this fight, he basically slaps everyone. If you want to know why, the video about Demacia is in the description. On the surface, Vladimir seems purely power hungry, a typical villain craving domination, but if you look closer, his motivations run deeper. Abandoned by his family, betrayed by his kingdom, and enslaved by a Darkin, Vladimir basically understood quite early on that power meant survival and freedom. His obsession with blood magic isn't just about domination, it's his desperate attempt to escape being vulnerable and losing control. It's also possible Vladimir secretly seeks freedom from the lingering bastard Darkin influence. His mastery of blood magic might be his way of ensuring he's never under anyone's control again. Not a Darkin, not LeBlanc, not even Mordekaiser. His alliance with LeBlanc and the Black Rose isn't loyalty, it's calculated survival. Vladimir patiently awaits, always strategizing, and never really reveals what his intentions are, making him one of the most dangerous individuals in Runeterra. So I'm gonna ask everyone a very simple question. Do you think Vladimir is a good guy who is misunderstood, or is he an outright villain who deadass has way more potential than we even realize? And do you think he can be cunning enough to be the final boss of Runeterra? I mean, food for thought is that he beat a Darkin, but even the god Pantheon couldn't get it done when he fought the Darkin Atrox. It's very interesting. The most recent lore we get from Vladimir is him in the new League cinematic when he is talking to LeBlanc about the host. We will probably get more lore on him very soon, especially in the new TV show after Arcane. When this happens, I will be sure to make another video on him.